Have you ever noticed how strange it is to suddenly wake up around 3 or 4 in the morning without any apparent reason? Anyone who experiences this immediately feels that discomfort mixed with curiosity. Why is this happening to me now? What's fascinating is that you're not alone. Many people report the same experience. And between us, it doesn't seem like mere coincidence, does it? That question echoes within, as if heaven itself were whispering, waiting for you to pay attention. And look closely. It's in this simple detail that a great spiritual turning point begins. Now, picture this. While the entire world is sleeping, there you are, awake in the silence of dawn. It's as if your surroundings were conspiring to create this intimate and rare moment. Those who have experienced miracles in the early morning hours know exactly what I'm talking about. Remember when Hezekiah, in desperation, turned his face to the wall and, alone in the night, received God's answer before dawn? This isn't just ancient history. It still happens today, with those who understand the sign and choose to wake up and pray. Have you considered how this might apply to your own life? This question seems tailor-made for you, doesn't it? It's at this moment that many people begin to recall biblical examples, like Joseph of the dreams, who received revelations precisely during these solitary moments. Because, my friend, God speaks in the early morning hours. What if, instead of ignoring this awakening, you saw it as a divine invitation? The next time your eyes open at this hour, before trying to go back to sleep, perhaps it's your opportunity to experience something extraordinary. And speaking of mystery, have you ever pondered the hidden meaning behind all this? There's something magical, almost unexplainable, that happens between 3 and 4 a.m. It's not just simple insomnia, not at all. It's as if, during this quiet slice of night, heaven draws closer and divine connection becomes more accessible. Those who have paused to feel it know, the air seems thicker, the heart beats differently, and the mind begins to capture signals that would go unnoticed during daylight hours. And observe closely. It's in this mystery that many have found answers that transformed their lives. Have you heard of people who received God's answer in the early morning, precisely when they thought all was lost? It's fascinating how, in biblical examples, these hours carry revelations. Joseph of the dreams, for instance, had his visions exactly when everything was silent, while others slept unaware of what was about to unfold. Hezekiah, in ancient times, also discovered that God speaks in the early morning when he turned his face and cried out. And if we reflect, many of the dawn miracles we hear about today follow the same pattern. There's an invisible thread connecting these ancient stories with the modern experiences of those who decide to wake up and pray during these special moments. And do you know what's most captivating? This mysterious invitation doesn't choose only prophets and kings. It chooses you, right where you are now. You don't need to be someone important in the world's eyes. You just need to be attentive. When the clock marks these hours and you awaken without explanation, it's as if you've received a special invitation to a divine encounter. And the question remains, will you ignore it once again, or will you respond to this call echoing in your heart? What if I told you there's a spiritual calling behind all this? Would you continue to ignore it? Few people realize, but when you suddenly wake up in the early morning, it's as if you're receiving a secret invitation, written by God's own hands. It's not just any awakening. It's a spiritual call, silent yet powerful. While the city sleeps, something greater is calling you outside your routine. It's in these moments that dawn miracles can happen, as they did with Hezekiah, who didn't hesitate to seek God's answer in the early morning. If you wake up to pray at this moment, even if it's just a whisper, you'll be responding to something that few can hear. It's remarkable to see how, in biblical examples, these encounters changed entire destinies. Joseph received, during these early hours, visions that would lift him from prison and place him on a throne. Hezekiah rewrote his own death sentence. God does speak in the early morning, indeed. It's neither myth nor legend. And here's something interesting. You can practice this starting simply. The next time you wake up, sit on your bed, Place your hands over your heart and speak a small prayer into the morning hours, something like, "Lord, I'm listening. Speak to me." Accepting this invitation is, in reality, embarking on a journey few dare to experience. It's stepping out of the automatic, understanding that those dark and mysterious hours are, in fact, filled with spiritual light. When someone wakes up to pray in such moments, they're saying, "I'm ready to experience the extraordinary." And so, my friend, prepare yourself, because the experience can become even more incredible when science and spirituality meet, as we'll see next. The most fascinating aspect of all this is that this experience, waking up without explanation in the early morning, manages to unite two worlds that, at first glance, seem opposite: reason and faith. Science tells us that between 3 and 4 a.m., the body enters a phase where cortisol levels increase, preparing you for the day. But what if I told you that this biological peak is also when the soul is most sensitive? It's no coincidence that so many witness dawn miracles precisely at this hour. It's as if body and spirit were aligned, ready to receive something greater. Think about it. While the brain is exiting deep sleep and entering the REM phase, where dreams occur, spirituality finds an opening to speak louder. Joseph didn't receive his revelations during rest by chance. It was precisely because his body was vulnerable and his mind open. God speaks in the early morning because that's when daily distractions fall silent, and even science confirms we're more receptive. You can use this to your advantage. Keep a notebook by your bedside to note any thoughts or dreams that arise in this moment. Small notes can be profound answers from God in the early morning. So, my friend, it's not just about blind faith or cold scientific explanation. It's about the perfect dance between the two. Your body is biologically ready and your soul spiritually open. When you wake up to pray at this hour, you're entering a flow where everything conspires in favor of revelation. It's as if God had programmed even your biology to facilitate this encounter. And if this already sounds powerful, just wait until we see how biblical examples further reinforce this living truth. If anything confirms this experience, it's the biblical examples that span centuries and still speak powerfully today. Look at Joseph of the dreams. It was during the early morning hours that he received revelations that would change not just his life, but the history of an entire people. While everyone slept, he was being instructed by God. And what about Hezekiah? When all seemed lost, he turned his face to the wall and, in the night's silence, cried out. And do you know what happened? A dawn miracle. A divine answer in the early morning that altered his destiny within hours. These stories aren't dead records in an ancient book. They're living invitations for you to become the protagonist of your own biblical experience. Waking up to pray at 3 or 4 a.m. isn't just a religious act, it's a recreation of what great men of faith have already experienced. Here's a practical tip. Upon waking, read passages like Isaiah 38 about Hezekiah or Genesis 41 about Joseph. Allow these words to nourish your faith even before the sun rises. This creates a spiritual atmosphere that prepares you to hear the voice that speaks in the early morning. And the more you immerse yourself in these examples, the more you realize there's a pattern. God speaks in the early morning, when everything is quiet, and transforms lives in ways that even logic can't explain. It's at this hour that he calls the dreamers, the desperate, those ready for something new. And if Joseph and Hezekiah were touched this way, why would it be different for you? Now, imagine how all this gains even more power when the message reaches straight to your heart, in an intimate and emotional way. You know that moment when you wake up in the middle of the night and feel a tightness in your chest without explanation? Well, want an example? The next time this happens, stay silent and just listen. Don't fight against sleep, don't complain. Because that's when God speaks in the early morning, softly, almost whispering to your heart. It's intimate, it's personal, it's just between you and him. And this conversation, my friend, is worth more than 1,000 words during the day. It's in this secret place that dawn miracles begin. And look, No one needs to be a faith giant to experience this. It doesn't matter if you're someone who has always prayed or if you're just beginning now. When Joseph was in prison, he was just another inmate, but there, in the night silence, God visited him with revelations. And Hezekiah, when he turned his face to the wall, he didn't make a beautiful speech, didn't use difficult words. He simply opened his heart. That's what prayer in the early morning is about, a simple, genuine conversation, without masks. Now imagine, you, in the darkness of your room, speaking softly to God and suddenly, feeling that peace that pervades everything. You don't need to shout, you don't need to make noise. It's there, in that intimate moment, that God's early morning answer may arrive. And if you learn to perceive this gentle touch, you'll discover there are simple practices that can take you even deeper into this experience. Practices you can start today, without complication. Now that you understand that God speaks in the early morning, it's time to transform this into real practice in your daily life. And you know what's best? It's not complicated. The next time you wake up between 3 and 4 a.m., don't go back to sleep immediately. Sit up, say a brief morning prayer, or start writing revelations that come to your mind. It could be a word, a verse, even a strange dream. Write everything down. These simple records can become divine answers that will make sense later. Want more? Prepare yourself even before going to bed. Leave the Bible beside your bed, already open to stories like Joseph's or Hezekiah's. Have a notebook and pen ready. When you wake up, read a verse, say a short prayer, something like, "Lord, I'm here. Speak to me." It doesn't need to be long. It just needs to be sincere. This small gesture creates a spiritual routine that opens space for dawn miracles to happen more frequently in your life. And if you want to go a step further, create a small altar in your room. A candle, a symbol of faith, something that reminds you of this divine connection. These simple details make the experience deeper and help you maintain focus. Because waking up to pray is more than an act of faith, it's an appointment with the Creator. And if you start doing this, you'll notice that each early morning brings a new opportunity for personal transformation. A transformation that can change everything if you decide to answer the call. Imagine what could happen if you respond to this call. It's not just about waking up in the middle of the night. It's about accepting that this is where your transformation begins. Joseph didn't become Egypt's governor overnight. It started with quiet early mornings, where God planted seeds in his heart. Hezekiah had his sentence reversed in an early morning prayer. This is how dawn miracles work. They begin invisibly, but explode in results when least expected. What about you? Have you thought about where this journey might lead you? Each time you wake up to pray at this hour, you're building something powerful within yourself. It's like strengthening a spiritual muscle that, day after day, will make you more sensitive, wiser, more connected. And this transformation doesn't remain just in the invisible. Soon you'll notice practical changes. More clarity in decision-making, more peace even amid chaos, more divine answers guiding you on the right path. Those who practice this know, God speaks in the early morning and changes stories. So, if today you feel stuck, without direction, how about accepting this invitation? Because, my friend, waking up to pray isn't just about religion. It's about turning the key of your life, like Joseph, like Hezekiah, like so many biblical examples that began in darkness and ended in victory. And if you think you're already experiencing something powerful, just wait until you dive into this spiritual journey as the protagonist of your own story, your own miracle. These narratives you've read so far aren't distant from you. They're living invitations for you to become the protagonist of your own biblical experience. Joseph was betrayed, forgotten, and humiliated before being exalted. But it was precisely in the early mornings that he received the vision that sustained his journey. Hezekiah's days were numbered, but early morning prayer repositioned him before heaven. What these men experienced is more than history. It's a model for you to follow, step by step, dawn after dawn. And here's a secret few share. Every great spiritual turning point begins when a person sees themselves in the leading role of their own story. It's not about watching miracles happen to others, it's about being the one who provokes dawn miracles. Want a practical example? Take a sheet of paper today and write, "My journey begins now." List which areas of your life need God's early morning answer: health, finances, family, purpose. By doing this, you declare that you're taking control of your narrative, with faith and action. When you make this move, something changes in both the invisible and visible realms. Suddenly, each time you wake up between 3 and 4 a.m., it's no longer coincidence. It's part of your journey, part of the script God is writing with you. And this awareness gives you power, courage, and determination not to give up. Because now you know, every time dawn comes, it's another chance to advance a chapter in your spiritual story. And if you think this is powerful, wait until you understand why this experience cannot, under any circumstances, be ignored. Now think with me, waking up between 3 and 4 a.m. and simply going back to sleep is like receiving a message from above and tearing it up without reading it. Strong, isn't it? But that's exactly it. God speaks in the early morning, and those who understand this know that each awakening is a rare opportunity. It's as if heaven were sending an exclusive notification, just for you, and what you do with it determines whether you'll experience dawn miracles or miss the chance. Joseph didn't ignore his visions. Hezekiah didn't remain inert. They responded to the call. And here's the truth few dare to say: there is no more strategic moment to seek God's answer than the early morning hours. It's at this time that your mind is clearest, your spirit most sensitive, and the line between natural and supernatural becomes thinnest. Going back to sleep is easy, comfortable, automatic. But if you decide to wake up and pray, even tired, even without fully understanding, you're telling heaven, "I'm here, available, ready to be used." And that's when things truly begin to happen. So, the next time this awakening occurs, remember, it's not random, not without purpose. It's exclusive. It's personal. And ignoring it could mean missing the greatest turning point of your life. Want some advice? Prepare yourself today for this moment. Set out the Bible, the notebook, and ready your heart. Because when it comes, you won't want to tear up this heavenly letter without reading it. And more than that, you'll want to discover what lies behind this insistent and mysterious call. In this very moment, as you watch this video, something may have awakened within you. That feeling of "this speaks to me" is no accident. Just as Joseph and Hezekiah answered the divine call in the early morning, you too are being invited to a transformative experience. What begins as a simple awakening at 3 or 4 a.m. could become the beginning of your own miracle story. Don't let this opportunity pass. The next time your eyes open in the early morning, remember, it's an appointment with the divine. If this content has touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with those who need to hear it. And to continue receiving revelations like this that can transform your spiritual life, subscribe to our channel now. Activate the notification bell and be the first to receive our upcoming videos about spiritual secrets that few know. Your transformation journey is just beginning, and we want to be by your side every step of the way. Subscribe now and let's wake up together to the miracles of the early morning.